everybody. Welcome back to Stop.Sit.Surrogate with Kennedy and Ellen. We have another guest joining us today. We're going to let her introduce herself. Go ahead and take it away, Victoria.
Hi, I'm Victoria Fritz. So I am an intended mother via surrogacy, and my journey to surrogacy is a little bit unique. So I went to med school at UNC Chapel Hill, and then I went to residency for cardiothoracic surgery in Lexington. So that's heart and lung surgery. And then while I was there, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And even though I was a doctor, I didn't even know as an adult you could be diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So I found myself in the emergency room where I treated patients myself, getting the diagnosis, and it was very shocking. But I continued operating and continued practicing. And then at one point, I was doing a neck incision in the OR, and my blood sugar got so low that I thought I was going to pass out. So someone ran and got juice for me, and the nurses were feeding me juice underneath my mask. And I just knew that if I had been operating on the heart, this patient would be dead. I would be very sick and dying. And I just knew I had to take a step back.
Wow.
And from being in the hospital, I had seen so much, life and death, and people go through so much that I kind of really got a sense and resolve that what I wanted to do more than anything was to be a mom. But with that, I knew that it was very dangerous to be pregnant with type 1 diabetes for me, and especially for a baby. And so my husband and I made the decision that we would create embryos and then find a surrogate to carry those embryos for us.
Oh, I have questions because
Me
she's
too.
a nurse. I'm not. So, but
Okay.
she understands more about what you just said than me. So I'm going to ask because most of us aren't in that field. So why, I think I know the answer. Why is it more dangerous to be pregnant if you're type 1 diabetic? Is it insulin?
Yes, it's the insulin, and it's also the risk of defects for the baby. So you have, when you're diabetic, you're always trying to keep your blood sugar kind of even and in the middle, but you're always fighting high blood sugars and low blood sugars. So with the high blood sugars, the risk of having a cardiac or a heart defect with the baby is much higher. And since I did cardiothoracic surgery, we saw little babies with heart defects, and that's just not what I wanted for my child. And
Right.
then the risk of having a low blood sugar is that your brain is kind of getting like starved of sugar. And so then you can get brain damage for you and the baby. And I didn't want that either.
God,
Interesting. So that's
crazy.
what they're concerned with when people get gestational diabetes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So usually concerned about like higher blood sugars. And usually at that point, the heart's already formed, but they're concerned about the baby getting bigger and having like a more dangerous birth.
Right.
Very interesting.
So I want to go back just a little bit. How did you hear about surrogacy? I mean, you were just like, oh, we're going to create embryos. We're going to do surrogacy to create. How did you even know about it? I know you're medical, but
I heard about it. Let's see. I had met with my high risk OB, so maternal fetal medicine or MFM, and discussed it a lot with her because I was like, should I do it? Should I not? I really wasn't sure. And I knew deep down in my heart that it was dangerous and I shouldn't be pregnant. At least it wasn't right for me and our family.
yeah.
Um, but I talked with her and she suggested it. She was like, this is an option. She was like, it's up to you ultimately. And I was like, I really just felt like that was the right thing. So then I went to a fertility OB or reproductive endocrinologist and told her, I was like, I think this is what I need to do. And she was like, great idea. Let's go.
Okay. Look
Okay.
at you. So did you end up going through an agency to find a surrogate, or did you go independent?
So I started looking independently, and I was just so afraid of like
Yeah.
what I found online because it's very overwhelming. I didn't know anyone who had done surrogacy. I didn't know where to start. I was just Googling things and on Reddit, and I found,
Yeah.
of course, Facebook pages, and I was just like, I'm afraid, I'm scared. So we went with an agency, and I mean, they've been fantastic, but it is very expensive, of course, and it's really
Yes.
long wait time. So our wait time was estimated to be around 14 months or so, give or take. So
Wow.
it's kind of a
From the
long,
day, sorry, from the day you signed up, right?
yeah,
To like be matched or to have
Matching?
a baby in your arms?
to be
Match.
matched.
To be
Yeah,
matched.
matching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very long. Yeah, it's long,
Yeah.
exactly. But I was just, so nervous about doing the independent route that that's what we decided to do. But in the future, I'm now working on a new project, which is like kind of an in-between. So in the future,
Okay.
we're planning on doing that.
That's amazing.
Okay.
That's becoming a lot more
Yeah.
wanted by everybody, not just intended parents, also surrogates.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think it gives everyone a lot more independence and freedom and peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Agreed.
and I what I've seen, I mean, there are genuine, and there are great relationships in both independent and agency, but
Mhm.
I feel like the in between, you can have just a more organic relationship.
Yeah.
I guess
And
would
what
be
I
the
like
words.
about the company I'm working on, Baby Bumps, is that it will be like a dating app for surrogacy and you can talk to each other before you match. I feel like sometimes there's a lot of pressure to just like go ahead and match and say yes. And I think both sides feel that pressure.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I'm like, it's such like an intense relationship that's so like is so quick too. Cause I'm like, only it's very rare that you meet somebody and then a few months later they're pregnant with your baby. Of course, like it has
Right.
happened,
Sure. Yeah.
it's
Right.
definitely happened. But I mean,
Totally.
it's still like a lot to jump into so quickly. And I feel like having the personality match matters a lot.
Yeah,
It
big. It's
does.
huge.
Because like a relationship in surrogacy is best when there's trust and respect on both sides. And to do that in like reading someone's profile and meeting them one time, what a
Hard.
gamble.
I
Mhm.
know, I know. It'd be like having like a baby with like your first date.
Yep.
Like
So weird.
crazy. Like
Mhm.
it
And
works
everybody
out
and
Yeah.
everybody's on their
sometimes.
best behavior with those
Yes.
match
Yeah.
meetings, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say everything you want me to say, so you love me," because
Yeah.
sometimes surrogates have to wait a little while to get an
Yeah.
appropriate match, right? And so they just wanna go. Just let's
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
going.
And it's like you just want to proceed forward. And sometimes it's like you just want to be liked. So you're like, I'll say
Right.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so where are we gonna go? We gonna go with the journey and then go into baby bumps? How do you wanna do it?
Yeah. Let's do, I'm assuming that is that the order that it was
Yeah. I
kind of
think
happened?
Okay.
that's what I was thinking. I was thinking kind of like the journey, and we
Yeah.
haven't matched yet. We're still in the waiting phase, but we've done
Oh,
IVF, done embryos,
okay.
and we've done our genetic testing, which is like a new type of genetic testing that tells me the risk of type 1 diabetes in the embryo, which I'm really excited about.
Wow,
So I'm
That's
like, I
that's
can really
very
get into
interesting.
that.
cool.
Yeah, and then we're starting more IVF. So I'm like, I can get into like where our journey is so far and then get into
Wow.
baby bumps if you guys like.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for
No,
Okay.
sure.
that
I'm
yeah,
intrigued with both.
I
Yeah.
know. Okay, so you're with an agency, and so you are you looking at profiles yet?
Yeah.
No, not yet. So right now we have done our first round of IVF. And so we created embryos, which is exciting. IVF is like a little bit of a bigger process than I was anticipating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Initially, I remember when my husband and I got married, we were talking to the priest that was going to marry us, and he was like, "Oh, are you guys planning on having kids?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, definitely. Probably in our late 30s or early 40s." I was like, "We're just going to do IVF." And I said it very flippantly, like it would be nothing.
What?
Right.
I know, and I was even like I'd finished med school at that point, but I still felt like I was like, "Oh, it's just a simple thing," and because 'cause I'd only had, like, 1 lecture on IVF, so I didn't
Yeah.
know, like, it's kind
Yeah,
of
it's
a
a
big
lot.
process. It's not as big as being pregnant, but it's a bit of
It's
a
big. It's
yeah,
big.
and so we've done the first round there, and, that was a little bit of a ride, especially with, like, managing my blood sugars throughout the process. It's a little bit different just with all the hormones coming into your body.
Interesting.
But we got like eggs, of course, and they fertilized. And so now we have some embryos. And I was really excited because there's a new genetic test available for embryos.
Okay.
It's called PGTP or pre-implantation genetic testing. And it's a type of test that doesn't just check for like certain diseases that have one mutation in a gene. It checks for diseases that are associated with multiple genes. And so type 1 diabetes is one of those.
Mm.
So our embryos have been screened for that. So we kind of know what their risk of developing type 1 diabetes is, which makes me
Wow.
feel a lot more
Right.
secure. Just
Right.
knowing like,
Yeah.
I want them to, of course, to be healthy and I have type 1 diabetes, obviously, and I'm glad I'm alive, but I just want to be able to provide the best for my child that I possibly can.
Sure.
So it's
Exactly.
exciting to have like this new thing available to
That's
check these.
cool. Yeah. I haven't
Yeah,
heard of that one. That's really
Me
cool.
either.
I know I hadn't heard of it either. I actually like heard about it like shortly before we were doing IVF, and I was like, we got to do
Neat.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I back you up and can I have you explain why you say IVF is like a big process?
So I guess for some reason, and maybe a lot of other women feel the same way, I kind of thought IVF would be like a lot more predictable than it is. I kind of thought it was like, oh, you give yourself like a shot once a day or something, and then you go in and like something happens. I don't know, whatever. Like it's all gonna just come together. And then also I thought, just that we would have like a ton of embryos and I didn't think we'd ever have to do another round. I thought it's like, I think how a lot of people feel of like, oh, we'll do one round and then of course we're going to have like 15 perfect, healthy, wonderful embryos.
Right,
And that's not
right.
always how it turns out. And that's not how it turned out for us, of course. So I, quickly learned about the the ups and downs of IVF, and it's really not predictable. And you give yourself medication, which is
Mm,
okay, but even though I give myself shots every day for insulin,
yeah.
these shots are a little bigger. Like even I
Yeah.
kind of like a medical background was like, oh, like a little bit nervous. It's a big needle.
It is a big needle.
Huge. They're
Especially to do yourself. And my husband is not one for blood or anything like
How funny.
so I was
There
like,
you
so
go.
I was doing it solo. So I was like, oh man, I remember I like kind of like broke out in a tiny bit of a sweat the first time.
Oh, oh.
Oh, I
Yeah,
don't blame
but
you.
it was
Yeah.
okay. And then,
Okay.
it's like, it's like kind of like a weird like amount of anxiety and pressure I think women put on themselves when they're seeing the number of like eggs or follicles they have growing. They're like, is this a good number? At least that's how
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Aw.
about
Yeah.
being like, oh, like the pressure. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting that we have some embryos, but we're definitely going to do a few more rounds because we'd like to have like at least two, if not like 3 or 4 children. So I'm like, I just want us
Okay.
to do the embryos when we're younger rather than older, just so we have
Right.
them available.
Available.
Right.
Right.
No, that's
Right. Right. Right.
smart. Because
Yeah.
you are very young.
Oh, I'm not that young anymore.
You look it.
Thank you.
She went through med school. I know how many years that takes, but I was going to agree. Yeah, it was very young. It's like, wow.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Golly. So how long you been with the agency?
We have been there, I want to say since February, so it's been a little bit of time. And I mean, it's okay. We expected a little bit of a longer wait. And that's why we also went ahead and just signed up because I was like, I don't want this to drag on, and we're making embryos and then, that takes a year and then we've got another year wait. I was like, I want to just kind of overlap those timelines.
Right.
So we signed even before we had embryos.
Okay.
What was their spiel or like what was their reason to you that like, oh, it's a 14-month wait? Like, did they give you anything?
Yeah, no answers to that. I don't think I even asked, to be honest. I was so
Sure.
overwhelmed in the process to begin with. I was just like, okay. Like I was like, I guess that's normal. I don't know. I truly had no idea what to think and I didn't know anyone to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of well, I would think you did, but did you do a lot of research on agencies before you narrowed it down and said, okay, it's going to be this one or this one? Like,
You
did you
know,
go off of a recommendation?
I just went off the recommendations. Like I
Okay,
like recommendations on Reddit basically. And I was like,
good.
okay, I'm just gonna go with that. Or I looked at one that was like, I think had a lot of Google reviews. Maybe that's what it was.
Okay,
Something as simple as that. And
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, that's just what we went for. And we kind of knew that like we were okay waiting a
Mm,
year just
okay,
because like, we're doing different things in life. And I was
Yeah.
like, now that we're going through different life changes, I was like, maybe that's okay.
okay.
And yeah, and maybe, it's like there's not that like also like added stress of like things gotta get done quick. Like,
Right.
because a lot of the times when people surrogates and intended parents, we all want it to like start tomorrow.
Mhm.
I
And
know.
so, I mean, I wish life worked like
Yeah.
that. But no, it's
Yeah.
it's probably easier on you guys too to just kind of go with the flow of it and like you don't feel rushed.
Yeah, I think like not feeling rushed and not feeling the pressure of like, okay, this is all happening rapid fire before I've had the time to process it is
Right.
like kind of a little bit of a relief, and I know a lot of people want to move really quickly and I want that for them if that's what they want, but
Okay.
Yeah.
we're okay. Even though I
Yeah.
will say there are some days where I'm like, I want to have the baby now, like I'm ready.
Aw.
And then I think there's other days where I'm like, oh no, I'm overwhelmed with just
Yeah.
like,
I get that.
Do, do you have a little want or checklist for a surrogate? Did you want to go with somebody who's proven or new, or does it matter?
It didn't matter to me. I think one of the things we wanted was like we're hoping to have like a relationship after the baby's born.
Oh,
Because I kind of like, I like the idea that like there's somebody else out there that like cares for my child and has their
oh,
like best interest at heart. And so I was like kind of thinking of like a little bit of like a long distance godparent relationship.
oh,
And so I'm like hoping, and I'd also of course love somebody who would be open to like if all goes well, carrying a second
sibling.
pregnancy.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
sibling
Perfect.
journey. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, I would love to have like, a sibling journey, but I understand like you never know what will happen in life or medically, so that might not be possible. But yeah, we're really hoping to have someone that like has good communication with us and, you know, maybe has similar personalities. Um, I feel like I really like am amazed that people like will be surrogates. I think it's incredible that you guys do this.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's so like selfless and incredible to me. It reminds me a lot of like the people that would give someone a kidney. I'm just
Right.
like, it's such like a big task to take on, but like so gracious.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
sweet.
why a lot of us do it over and over again because we love it.
Yeah.
Because we love how it makes you guys feel.
Oh my God, it's so nice. It's such an empath personality. It's so nice.
It's surrogacy, we say it all the time, like the community is like probably the best community out there. Like I know, like, and oftentimes if you're an intended parent, it's not like the community that you really want to join per se. You know, it's not the club that you want, that's
Yeah.
your first pick. But everybody there is so welcoming and so loving, and like you're gonna find great
Yeah.
people. Of course, you're gonna find the interesting people, and like that's in every group, but you know, for the most part, it's pretty great.
Yeah, because
I've
you know
heard
what
some
goes. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I've heard some surrogates say that like the like birth or like the parents seeing the baby for the first time is like the best part. Is that what you guys felt?
It's such a
That
high.
is, you
Yeah.
know, really quick. So I had planned on just being a surrogate one time. Like I was like, okay, like yeah, one time, like that's fine. I was a single mom. I was like, yeah, I'll just do this for me, my son, and then I'll be done. And my mom, the whole journey was like, no, you're gonna do it again. You're gonna do it again. I was like, you're crazy. And I had the baby girl, and the dads were in the room, and I saw it, and she saw me. She's like, you want to do this again, don't you? I was like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I like that. Like that's what I like right there. It's
Because
just
you helped create a family. It took a lot of people to do it, and you all came together for one end result. And that end result is this little tiny human that doesn't realize how many people love
I
it,
know.
yeah.
I
right?
know. I
And
was like,
loved it from conception. Like,
yeah, I know.
yeah,
I really feel like quite bonded to even just the concept of my
right,
future child. And I was
right.
like, I wonder, I was like, I wonder if they'll ever understand it. Like, and hopefully they're not maybe not having to do this themselves. But I'm like, I wonder if they'll ever understand how badly they were wanted.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right, right.
I
How
think
Agreed.
they
did,
will. We've had
yeah.
we've had a couple people on here that, you know, their kids are older, and we actually interviewed my mom's triplets who are in their 20s, and
Oh,
they
wow.
real yeah.
Yeah,
So they
Wow.
gave their perspectives, and they realize it. And so
there it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
And they
That's incredible.
realized the impact that I had and my family had on their family. Like it it's distant, but if I were to see them tomorrow, we'd pick up right where we left off. We adore one another. It's a unique relationship. It's
Mhm.
very unique. Yeah. And it's really cool to have. It's really cool to have.
How did you guys decide to become surrogates?
Ah,
I
She
have
I
to,
can go
I'm
first.
so
yeah,
curious.
I'll go for it. I was adopted as a baby.
Okay.
Okay. So when you say, I hope that this baby knows how much they were wanted and loved, I get that, me personally, because my parents couldn't have children and I was adopted. So right there, I got it. But when I started to have my own children and saw how they looked like me, and went, oh wow, that was missing. Hold on a second. I got the little bug of how can I help somebody who can't have children get this same feel? And
Yeah.
that's how I started it. Yeah. And I was addicted as well, but didn't start till late. So I only did 3. But had 6 baby, no, 5 babies, 6. Well, yeah. Yeah. Triplets and then
Oh yeah.
twins. One of the twins passed away and then a single. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
technically 6. Right.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
that's how I got into it. And now Kennedy got into it.
Well, I got into it because of her. Like,
Yeah.
I was 5, but I don't remember that. But
Mhm.
I always say it was my mom's second journey with her triplets that I really was attached to one of the dads. Like, I was like, I want you to be my dad. Like, I was like obsessed with him. I was like, you're the coolest. Like, and he was
Uh,
just so sweet. And they were just like the sweetest people. And just to see how they treated my mom and treated us, like, I just thought they were like new uncles. Like,
yeah.
this whole, and as I got older, I really understood what that click was when I was 8, which is crazy to say because my son is 8, so like that's weird. But it's like, so it was just like this interesting click that when I got older and I had my son at 20, you can't be a surrogate till you're 21. And my mom's like, you could be a surrogate. And I was
Yeah.
like, I can? Oh, okay, I can. And then I did, and I was like, oh my God, I get why you do this so many times. Like, I
Yeah.
love this. And it's just, and it's over time, it's developed into something more meaningful to me and everything. And so It's just, I don't know. I love it. It's in my heart. I was born
It's all
it.
feel good. It's just a feel good. We just want you guys to become parents. That's
Yeah.
really, it's
Yeah.
because we know the struggles, you know. I know my
Yeah.
parents had struggles, right? And then boom, they got a baby, or they got a couple of babies through adoption. And I was like, is that the only way to do it? Nope, not the only way
No,
to
there's
do it.
something- Yeah. I was like, science is incredible. There's all sorts
It's
of things now.
so incredible. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially to see how far it's come. Like
Oh,
when we compare our stories, it's like 20
mm,
years ago how she did it versus now. Like they would never put 4 embryos in me, and that's what they did to her.
they
Yeah,
just,
that's what I thought. When I
yep,
heard triplets, I was like,
yeah.
oh, I bet there was a lot of embryos
A
there.
Yep.
lot of embryos.
We were just sitting there in the exam room and they're like, hey, the eggs aren't that great. The embryos aren't that great. So how many you want to do? And we all just kind of looked at each other and I go, your children, you let me know. And they went, 4. And the doctor went, yeah, that's great. I'm like, oh God. Nobody took a second thought because we didn't think any would stick. That
Yeah.
was the thing. Yeah.
My
Okay.
fertility OB now, she's like, I will only transfer one. She's
Right.
like, the rates of success are so high. She's like, only one.
Yep.
I'm like, okay.
Yep.
I was like, I like that high success rate thing. So
Me
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Right?
That
No,
is
Yeah.
awesome.
it's like a really nice it's like nice to hear. It's like, oh, so this is more likely to happen than not to happen.
Right.
Like we don't
Exactly.
have to stress that much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if the
Exactly.
embryo splits and you get twins,
I,
fantastic. Right.
I know that's what I thought. I was like, unless we have identical twins, which that would be like a whole new thing. That was like, that
Yeah.
would be cool.
That
Very
would be
fun.
very cool.
Very fun.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then I guess like what is, so you're starting a company?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. What is it called and what is it?
So it is called Baby Bumps, and it is essentially a dating app for surrogacy. So
Okay.
it's basically an app where surrogates and parents can make profiles and you'll be vetted and screened. So like you feel like these are like real safe, legit people. And so
Okay.
it'll be literally just like a dating app like Hinge or Bumble. And you can look through people's profiles. They'll have like pictures, videos, like information about themselves, like what they like to do, what they're like. And then, of course, like the hard facts, like the nuts and bolts about like, this is how many embryos we've had, or this is how many children we've had, this is the state we live in, that sort of thing. Like, this is our insurance.
Okay.
But I think this gives people the opportunity to like be able to communicate before they make that like really intense decision to have this like really intense relationship really fast, where it's like, at least you get to chat a little bit and sleep on it and maybe chat a little bit like a few days later and decide like, are we a good fit?
Yeah.
Rather than having like that high pressure scenario put on you with like these like matching appointments.
Yes.
So you had mentioned that it's okay. Is it fee based? Like to get your profile on the app, is it fee based?
So it will never be fee-based for the surrogates. For the
Wow.
parents, it will be, but right now it is free. We are launching the first rendition at the end of next month. So it'll just be kind of like the test trial. So if there's like any surrogates or any parents out there that want to just like test it out, give me their opinion, their feedback, and kind of have a hand in like shaping Baby Bumps, like
Yeah.
please contact me because we were happy to get like our like testers on there and see what they like.
Fun.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
is it going to be, is it an app or is it like on a website?
So it'll start on a website and then I want to move it to an app. I think the idea of like having it on the phone is
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
it's so easy. That's what I think too. And it's like
Yep.
that. It's like you can message each other back and forth and you can look through profiles, you can save profiles and like show them to your partner and be like, oh, what do you think? And then
Yeah.
like it can be like more of a group decision rather than this like, high pressure thing. And I think as opposed to like going to Facebook or doing it independently like that, it's like these are people that have been screened, they've had background checks, don't have to be so anxious.
Okay,
Yeah.
so are you doing the background checks?
Right. That's
So
what I was
we're
gonna
having a third party like do the
Okay.
background checks, and then we're working with a therapist. So then people can do just like quick check-ins for just like a very brief, like 15-minute psychological screening, just to make sure that like this is a real person, not like a
Okay.
bot or something like that.
Right.
Like
Got it.
Right.
that kind of thing.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
what happens then? And I know you're still like infant stages and you're going to launch soon, but what is the vision of what happens if a surrogate and intended parents
How do they
like
say
each
that they
other?
want to match? Like
Yeah.
how
So
do they,
they,
yeah.
so they can just decide to match. I don't want there to be like this big matching fee lump sum. So it's like whoever you decide to match with, you can go forward and like go to the attorneys, go to your doctors, do whatever you want to do. There's like no big like, secret that I'm keeping about like who, the real profiles are or anything. Like
Yeah.
you guys decide you want to match, then like go for it.
Wow.
Huh.
So
Super
it's
cool.
Interesting.
yeah, so it's kind of like the Facebook pages, except safer. And I
Yeah.
think more organized.
nicer.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And then you
Right.
can kind of get more like information off somebody than like just having to like scan through their Facebook. And it's like you
Right.
can kind of like get a sense and message each other and feel like, is this right? And decide what you kind of want.
Very
Amazing.
nice.
No, that's
Thanks.
super amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to get you guys y'all's feedback on it, like at some point too, and like see what
Yeah.
you guys want as like very experienced surrogates.
yeah. No, I think that'd be
For
really
sure.
great though, because I mean, I
I-
know like amongst people that I've talked with, like in the surrogate community, like on the surrogate side, a lot of surrogates are looking to do something in between. Like a lot are a little bit too nervous to go independently, even if they're repeat surrogates, just because it's like, like somebody
Yeah,
else did all the work for me. Like I
yeah,
don't want to. It's a lot of anxiety to like get a pre-birth order, like just make sure that everything's checked.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that this is. I think you have something great.
Thank you. Yeah, I like, and I also think, it is something that's kind of in between where it's like you're not having to take on the big like risk of like going to the Facebook. And then also I think it's an opportunity for surrogates also to get compensated a little bit more because the parents aren't
Mm,
having
Doing
an agency fee. And I've talked to
yeah,
other parents and we all feel the same way. We're like, we want to compensate our surrogates for what they do.
right.
not enough.
Agency fee is a little harder to swallow.
Right.
Yeah, and
Agreed.
plus, like if in that case, intended parents as well don't, even if they're compensating their surrogate a little bit more, they can still save money,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
a
it's like
lot
you're
of
still
money.
you're still saving a lot of money by
A
not paying the
lot.
fee. So it's like, I think it kind of works out for the best for everyone. And I'm hoping that it'll be something that people really like. And
Yeah.
I've also even thought, I know there's some like surrogacy concierge services, like people that will walk the parents through legal. And I've even thought
Mhm.
about, partnering with groups like that, where it's like if
Yeah.
parents want that, like I can introduce you to somebody,
Right.
like go ahead if you need that, especially if it's your first journey, because I
Right.
understand wanting that with the first journey, and I know it's like a lot to like take in to
Yeah.
begin.
So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to look for negatives, but I'm sitting here thinking about this and I just want to ask if it's even been thought about yet. Um, what is in place to prevent per se a surrogate having like four or five on the string? Like, oh, I'm talking to this one and I'm talking to that one and I'm talking and the poor parents, right? Like, is there a number that a limit that they can be looking at one time or
No, I mean, you're free to talk to as many people as you want. And
okay,
maybe as we do the test, maybe that'll be a good thing to keep in mind.
okay.
And that's actually a very good idea. So I was like, maybe I'll incorporate something in like that. But I
Yeah.
was thinking that like, once the surrogates and the parents match, then
Mhm.
their profiles are taken off the platform. So it's
Right.
kind of like it's official
Right.
that we're matching, you send something saying like, hey, we're the official match, we're official match, and then it deactivates both profiles. So that
Right.
way people aren't still kind of like
Yeah.
shopping around because I'm like, I feel like once you go through the match, you need to just stick with it, go for it. If you change your
Right.
mind, you can always come back. But
Okay.
yeah, to
Okay.
keep
My
things the
goodness.
same.
Ellen, why? I
What?
mean, I know that people think like that, but I would have never thought like that in a
I would
million
have,
years.
I
She
would have,
liked it.
no,
I
I
know
did
she
like
did.
it. No,
Victoria
I'm
liked it. Okay.
gonna
I
make it
just
happen as a
I just
business
know
advice.
independent journeys out there. Maybe
Yeah,
people get hurt. People
yeah.
get
Yeah.
hurt. And to prevent that, to make it even more of a safe space, like that's the only reason I mentioned it.
I
It's
think no,
just
I think that's a great idea. I'm actually gonna
Yeah.
take that. I'm gonna need you as a business advisor.
okay, for sure.
She's there. She's there.
All
That is
free.
like a fantastic idea. And I was like, oh, now it will be incorporated into the platform.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, just make them because you want more people coming on and feeling like it's a
exactly.
safe space, right? And then you don't want because I know of a situation that just happened and it scares me and I don't it's scary. So
Yeah. And I think it's
something to
like,
face.
everyone in surrogacy, you kind of wear your heart on your sleeve.
You do.
Totally.
Feel very
You do.
vulnerable to it. So it's,
Yeah.
I want people to feel safe and I want it to kind of be a place where it's like people have like kind of mutual values of like respect and like
Yes.
admiration and want to support each other. And it's like
Yes.
a platform.
Yeah. That's
Along
huge.
along those lines, I have is there are people gonna be allowed if like either a surrogate or an intended parent, like if they're already with an agency, would they be able to still come to you or
Sure, if they want to.
Yeah.
I know some agencies do say, we'll reduce our fee if you
If
kind of
you
like
find
your
one.
own surrogate. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I know some agencies have like a pretty substantial discount for finding your own surrogate. And so
Excellent.
it's absolutely something people could do.
Oh, that's amazing. No, I really found this is just a
It's
wonderful
great.
thing.
I'm gonna have to ask you guys both to be like testers of like the initial product.
I would love to.
We're here.
I'll be all over that.
No, it's fascinating.
But eventually it'll be monetized for the intended parents, right? That will
Yes,
be monetized.
exactly.
Okay.
Eventually, once it's up and running fully, there will be a fee for intended parents to be on it, and that will likely be a monthly fee. And so
Okay.
it's like, you don't, you can kind of take your time. And if you want to go a little slower, you want to maybe
Yeah.
we'll have different subscriptions where you can kind of just browse. And then if you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm ready, like I want to start talking to people, then you can kind of change your plan.
Oh,
And that's
very cool.
all still in the works. But at this point,
Yeah.
it's for the people who want to test it, and we're just getting it
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. That's great. Now, are
And
you
then,
still
oh, go ahead.
working in the healthcare industry? Are you still?
I decided to take a step back entirely. When I left surgery, I was just very, very sick.
Yeah.
I had been working really hard, and we usually worked about 100 hours a week. And I was doing that with the new diagnosis. And so I,
Yikes.
had several severely low blood sugars, and I was just very nervous. And I was like, you know what? I want a different type of life where I see my husband and I see my children
Yeah.
at kind of a little bit of a slower pace where I'm like a little bit happier too. And I'm glad I did it. I think my husband's glad too, because I mean, we never saw each other. And it's just a different kind of world where it's like you're gone from home for like 48 hours at a time. And I was just kind of like, this isn't really what I want my life to look like
Okay.
forever. So I
Yeah.
was kind
Maybe the
of
diagnosis was just a blessing in
I
disguise.
I think too. I was like, I'm like, oh, I wish I could still eat dessert like more
Oh,
freely.
yeah.
But like, I actually tell people all the time that I'm like, I am much happier as a type 1 diabetic doing this than I
Okay.
was without diabetes doing surgery.
Look at you. Good for
Wow.
you.
Yeah, so I'm
That's
like,
great.
I'm actually much happier this way. So I think it's actually worked out. And, I think it also brought to the forefront of my mind, like, I want to be a mom and this is what I
Yeah.
really want. I'm very close with my mom,
Aw.
both my parents, and I'm like, I want a family. I think, if I
Nice.
had to do anything in the world, like, and if I was, thinking back on my life when I'm older, I'm like, I'll be glad I had that family because I
Yeah.
think it's the most important thing.
So that brings up a topic. How is your family? Are they supportive of surrogacy? Are they excited?
My parents are so excited, like
Oh.
super excited. Like my mom is very excited, and my dad's a little more like tapping his watch, like being like
Oh,
this timeline, like where's the baby? Bring the baby home. And I'm
Oh.
working on it. We're on a wait list.
yeah.
Yeah,
Aw.
like my dad's very excited, and then I'm very close with like my extended family and my aunt, and I have a younger brother, and he's only 22, so I think he's just like, oh wow, cool, like
Yeah.
ready.
Right.
And my parents, my husband's parents, and his sister all know, and they're supportive of it too. So it's
Oh,
very
good.
exciting.
I'm so
Um,
glad.
I know it's kind of worrisome because you never know because families can all react differently because it's kind of a new
Yeah.
topic.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was glad that everyone was like very supportive of this
And
endeavor.
and and I'm speaking older generation.
Yeah.
Some of them don't know what it is. They
Yeah.
don't know what it is. And so they knee jerk react, right? And go, what? Huh? And
Yeah.
then once it's explained to them, they're like, well, of course that's science. Of course that can work. So
Yeah.
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 Because a
Exactly. I
lot of
remember.
yeah. Oh,
Go
sorry. I was
ahead.
just gonna say a lot of the times the older generation has seen it like portrayed through like shows or movies in the most in a improper, is that the
Yeah.
right word? Way. And it's like,
Yeah.
none of that's true.
And
None of
one
it.
thing that surprised me that I wasn't really expecting is that like my peers and my girlfriends, and when I tell people my age, they are very supportive. And
Oh,
that was
good.
kind of initially, I wasn't sure, like, am I going to tell people? What are people going to say? And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm doing it regardless of what people say, but it's
Right.
like very
Yeah.
nice for people to really respond positively about it. And when I tell
Oh,
people that I'm working on baby bumps, they're like, oh, that's wonderful.
it
I
is
mean,
wonderful.
It
I
is.
love it.
yeah, thank you. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was never sure, like, oh, how are people gonna like react to that if they've never heard about surrogacy?
Right.
And I
You're
think
just it's amazing because we interview a lot of people and the little niches that people are finding to
crazy.
put surrogacy up at the top
So
forefront
cool.
and help people not just like be pregnant with the baby, but help them get there. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's incredible. These little businesses that are popping up everywhere. I love
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
I know. I was like, and it's like such, when you're living it, it's like your whole world. So it's kind of what you think about it.
Yep.
24/7. I
Yeah.
honestly like I watch talk shows all day and I'm just like, why is there not a surrogacy talk show? Why is there not an IVF talk show? We
I've
need this.
actually, yeah, I think about that too all the time. I'm always like, this should be in Good Morning America. Like this is
Yep.
interesting stuff.
And
Yes.
do you know how many women would actually tune into it? Men too, but like
Yep.
so many women, even if they don't want to talk about it publicly, they would tune in to like
Want to hear it.
understand, learn. Like, it's
I mean,
And I
that's
think
what I
we
would
need
do.
to pitch that to the executives at like, Fox or something.
I
I
agree.
think
right, because we have all the insights.
just have people on and we'll interview them. Whatever. It's fine.
Okay. So what we're doing now.
Yeah. You do like
Come.
Fertility Friday and just have
Right.
different guests.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's fine, whatever. One day something like that will exist.
I don't know. Just
Yeah.
it's amazing. She said the differences between 20 years ago and now. It's incredible. The differences.
Mhm.
It's
And whenever
incredible.
I talk to people about this, usually somebody will always tell me, they'll be like, oh, I actually have a friend or a sister or a
Yeah.
cousin who's looking into this. And it's funny because it's like people usually don't share it with each other.
Mm-mm.
But
Right.
many people are considering it and it's becoming so common. I think it's incredible.
I think
Yeah.
our generation is starting to like, I'm a millennial. And so like I'm in the end of millennial, but I'm still a millennial, so I'm proud to be a millennial. But I think that, our generation is starting to become like the top. I don't want to say like top, like we're better, like top, like our parents are getting older. And so like our generation is like, we're gonna soon be one of the presidents. Like it's kind of that thing. So I think all of us have just more of an understanding and more of an acceptance than the older generations. And we're all just like, cool, you love who? You do what? I don't care. Do you? And so I
Exactly.
think that that's super helpful when it comes to surrogacy and a lot of things just like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. I'm like, I think people are like becoming more and more like aware of it and more and
Mhm.
more of
Yeah, I agree.
Accepting as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
States are even making laws and which is great because sometimes it's hard to navigate those laws, but they're supposed to be helping
Oh,
surrogates.
speaking of laws, is everything surrogacy related like legal in North Carolina?
Yeah, so actually, I think North Carolina is one of the bigger states for surrogacy. A lot of surrogates actually live in North Carolina.
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
yeah, if we're here still, like, I'm like, oh, maybe I'd be within driving distance. Because I've also thought, I was like, oh, I wonder if my surrogate would want to come to the baby shower. I was like, oh,
Oh
she's
God, they would love to.
okay, good. I was like, I'd
Look
love
at
to
us
have
speaking for
like,
them,
I
but
know.
I know yeah, I was like, I know she's got her own life and she'll probably have, I know she'll have children and they've got soccer games and ballet and whatever on the weekends. So I was like, maybe she'd want to come. If it's
Oh,
only
that's
a couple hours drive.
yeah.
that'd be
No, that's
great.
a sweet invitation. That
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I'm like, who knows? I'm like, maybe surrogacy will become so common that there'll be like Party City, like surrogacy decorations and packages and like
I would
all those
love
That would
games.
be fun.
Yeah.
So cute. Oh,
That would be
really
fun.
fun. What in like another 20 years?
Yeah, exactly. In another
Yes.
20 years, there'll be like a market for it and there'll be people who plan out like your
Right.
surrogacy baby shower.
Right, exactly. And we're all just be sitting there like, this, where was this 20 years ago, you guys?
Exactly. And we'll all be like, oh, like, I used to just kind of like order a cake from Costco. And now
Right.
it's
Right.
a little bit bigger, like prom, has gotten
Right.
loaded.
Oh my gosh, so funny. Ugh.
So we didn't touch, and because he seems to be very accepting of it, but your husband, when you mentioned it to him, I would think, yes? Or
Yes, he did.
surrogacy?
And he said something that really surprised me. I was like, what are you thinking of it? And he was like, oh, it's actually something I've always considered. And I was like, what?
What?
And I was like, what? And I was like, when did you first hear of this? And he was like, I don't know. I think I was like maybe 16 or something. And I was like, what?
Wow.
I was just like, I'm grateful that he had heard of it, but I'm like, I don't even know if I knew what it was when I was 16, but I guess he had maybe heard of it somewhere and he was like, oh yeah, I'd always considered that.
Oh, how
I'll
I
be
was like,
darned.
okay,
fun.
very nice.
Yeah.
Because I worried too. I was like, is he
Yeah.
going to feel differently about me or something? But no, he's totally good. Like he's on board.
That's awesome. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes into IVF with them having to donate
Oh yes,
sperm and
exactly.
things, and it's not the most lovey-dovey atmosphere. Like it's
Yeah.
a room with a book or a movie. It's like whatever.
I
It's
know. I
sad.
did.
Like
I was like, what was the room like? I did like, but He was very nice when I did my egg retrieval. He like just went and got coffee because of course you can't eat or drink
Yeah.
anything beforehand. So
Yeah.
like, when I woke up, he was like there with a coffee for me, and I was like,
Oh,
Oh,
very
so
sweet.
sweet.
Yeah.
I was like very supportive, very good.
That's
And then he
awesome.
went to work, and my mom took me home. So it
Oh,
was like, that's perfect. That's
So
just how I
sweet.
would be.
that's so sweet. Oh my gosh. I'm really excited for you. I'm like, I
Very much
really,
so.
really, really hope that you find like a surrogate like on the timeline that you want. And so like quick-ish, but
Yeah.
yeah. And I hope
Yeah.
that
What
she's
if,
everything.
what if you find one through your app?
I have thought about that actually. Like, my husband's grandmother actually mentioned this to us. She was like, a lot of times when people like go shopping for houses, they say they're just looking, and then they find
Oh my
something,
God, I
and they
love
fall in
that.
love. And she's like, what if you're doing this and you say you're just like doing it for work, but you find someone, you fall in love, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was like, I'm gonna try to like be strong and be like, no, this is just for work. But like, of
Oh,
course, like I plan to find like my future surrogates, like for our subsequent children, all on this
there
app.
you go. Okay.
Yeah, but also like if she falls into your
I
lap,
know,
she falls into your lap for a
I know.
reason.
That's why
Yeah.
I
So
think, yeah, I'm also like, but I'm like, I still am like, oh, hopeful.
yeah, no, but
Yeah,
you can be for sure.
exactly. Yeah, I'm like, I'm trying to be like, oh, I'm just a professional, but also I'm like, oh, I'm an intended mother too, and I like to
Right.
look.
Yeah.
100%. Girl, it's your app. You look.
Yes. You're going to have to look at all of them anyway to kind
I
of get them
know.
where they need to go. And then
That's
you have to
true.
be
That's
vetted
true.
for
Exactly.
psych. You have to be vetted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, who knows? I was like, what if this perfect person comes along and we're just like a match made in heaven? I was like, then I'll have to do it.
Because what if she's listening right now and then she pops up
I
and then like
know.
she sees you and she's like, oh, it's meant to be. And now it's
Right.
like, okay, you can reach out. Go ahead, reach out to Victoria. Go ahead, reach out to her.
And
Yeah, I know.
if you still want to use the agency and that happens, then maybe you talk to your agency and say, listen, I
Yeah,
found she's agreeing to use you.
yeah.
Reduce our fee just a little bit, please. Like, you know,
Actually, that's a good idea. Okay, you are a
do
good business advisor.
it. Okay.
Be
My
my
gosh.
business advisor. Yeah,
Yeah. It's like you're gonna be in the candy store. Like right? Like the little kid. Like I
yeah.
get to look at all of them.
I know.
So cool.
I know exactly. That's why I was like, actually, that is such a fantastic idea.
Fantastic. No,
Yeah,
seriously though. Oh, I'm really excited for you guys.
I'm excited too. I'm like, I'm looking forward to it so much. I'm like, I never thought life was going to go down this path, but now it feels like very natural. And in a
Yep.
weird way, it's like, now I'm like, oh, I can't imagine like not doing
Not
surrogacy. And
doing it.
like, also, I'm like, I couldn't imagine doing a pregnancy and not having like another woman in it with me. And like, I'm like, oh,
Oh,
I can't like imagine being solo. I'm like, I feel like I need her.
Wow.
oh my
You
gosh.
I
you
was like, it's a very different perspective.
sometimes and again, negative Nelly over here. Sometimes there's like that jealousy of an intended mom. It's not all the time, but you don't seem like you seem like this is the path that
Yeah, I
and
feel
you're
like,
gonna embrace it.
yeah, I was like, I feel like this is maybe the path I was meant to go down.
Oh, I
Really
love that
cool.
because a lot of I'm not going to speak for a lot of surrogates. I'm just going to
Yeah,
say
don't
that
say
there
that.
is
Yeah.
a fear in some surrogates
Yeah.
with
Yes.
intended moms. And like I had an intended mom in the past, and that was very much the case. And it was just our relationship, there was none. And so now I have an intended mom again. I love her. I like just want to be her best friend. She's like amazing. I love her. And so I'm like, it really just depends on who you match with.
Yeah.
Um, but it's definitely not a fear that should stop anybody from talking to an intended mother. And that's
Right.
always something that I try to like say because I think intended moms sometimes get a bad rap because of some experience that somebody else has heard along the way, and it's just
Yeah,
not
or
the case.
there's sometimes just like weird things that happen. I've heard that same thing. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I can empathize why people might feel that way. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm like, I get that.
But
Yeah.
somebody sitting down and talking with you, I don't know, haven't met your husband yet, but talking to you is just going to go, yeah, let me carry all
Yeah.
7 of them for you. Like, let
Oh
me
my
do
God.
it. Like,
I
yeah,
know that's why
right.
I'm hoping. I was like, I told my husband once, I was like, some days I'm like, I'm gonna have 6 kids. And he's like, no. So I was like, we'll start with the 2 and then like hopefully more. But I was like, maybe I'll see how I'm feeling then. I'll see how tired I am.
There you
And
go.
I
yeah.
There
know.
you go.
It's like when we're younger, right? We're always like, oh, I want like 8 kids, and it like dwindles down as like time goes on. And now that I have one, I'm like, I could have 2 more max. That's it. I'm
Oh,
done.
really? It's so funny.
Yeah.
I went the opposite way. When I was a kid, I was like, I'm not gonna have any kids or like maybe one
How
max.
pretty.
And then something switched where I was like, oh
Yeah.
no,
I
I
want
need,
all of them.
I was like, I need a sprinter van of children.
That's cute. Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. So wait, so can I ask how many embryos do you guys have?
We have 3. And so
That's
we're like
great.
just planning. Oh, thank you. I was kind of nervous about it. I was like, oh, were people going to be upset that I only need
No, 3 is great.
Okay, good. And so
Surprise.
okay, good. Okay, good. I was like, I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know if this is a good number or not.
No, that's great.
But we're planning on doing another round of IVF in October. And so I'll be documenting that. And so hopefully we'll have more from there and it'll just
Yeah.
like, we'll have like the number that suits us for the number
Yeah.
of kids and
Yeah.
children.
Right.
My husband.
Right, because if you want to do this a couple times for a couple kids, then yeah, more than 3. But for like trying for a single child right now, 3 is great.
Okay, good. All right,
Yeah.
good. Okay, I feel much better about it. My like fertility OB is fantastic, and she was like, "They look great." She was like, "They're for AA," and I was like, "Oh yes, yes, of course." I was like,
Woo.
"I don't know what that means," but I was like, "She was like, that's a good one," and I was like,
No, it's a good one. Yeah.
That is a good one.
"Okay,
Wow.
good."
Oh
Yeah,
my
no, all the best to you because that's that oh gosh. I'm gonna just have to follow you somewhere because you're one of those people that just drew me in. I'm like, I
Yeah.
just need to hang with you. Like I need to like follow everything.
I want to ask one more question, Victoria. Where can people go to like follow your journey or to, find baby bumps when it goes live?
Yeah.
So Baby Bumps Instagram is hello_baby bumps. And then we have a website, which is www.baby-bumps.org. And then my email is victoria@baby-bumps.org. And so people can find me on Instagram, email, website, whatever suits them. I'm happy to answer anywhere. And I'll definitely be documenting my IVF journey in the coming months.
Yay.
So if there's anybody who's interested about like watching IVF and seeing how's it go, especially when you're planning for surrogacy rather than planning to try to be pregnant yourself, I will be doing it. So feel free to check it out.
Oh my
Awesome.
gosh, I'm excited.
Because there's a lot of intended parents who aren't quite as embracing as you are of the whole process, right? And so for them to be able to go and watch stuff like that, and the internet's been like phenomenal for all of
Yeah,
that
I think so
because
too. It's
they
also
can
nice.
sit in the back.
Yeah, exactly. You can sit in the
Right.
back and watch. You can kind of just watch me give myself a shot in my kitchen. And like it feels a little more real. It's not like you're watching like a medical video. It's just
Right.
like real life. This is what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
And
and
it puts
it'll help. It will
puts
help a lot of people. It really will.
it puts worries at ease, like the
Mhm.
unknown, because
Yeah. I think that's the scariest thing, the unknown. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really excited for it. So I'm excited for like things to get going and things like to get going with the IVF and with baby bumps and for us to match and the pregnancy and the baby. I think it'll be good.
It's coming.
Yeah.
2025. Looks like it's going to be all about you guys. 2025. Yeah.
We're open.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us,
Yes.
Victoria.
So nice.
Thank you for talking with me too. It's wonderful to meet you guys, and I'll have to follow up. I was like, I've got to get more business advice from you. I'm serious.
Well, I'd love to go on and look at like when you're ready, like look at the site and just kind of because I'm not that tech savvy. And so when I do use things like I'm like I like the user friendly stuff.
Yeah.
And so, maybe I can find some of that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Like make it as user friendly as possible. Yeah, I'll need you guys like on my advisory board, like my surrogate advisory board.
So cute.
Love it. Well, we're here anytime.
Yes, we are. No problem. Thank you so
Amazing.
much for joining
Have
us.
a wonderful
It was
night.
lovely.
Yeah. Take care. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
bye.
So
That was
lovely.
just so fun.
Absolutely lovely. But that's why, like, I couldn't find a whole lot of info. They're still in the process.
My bad. I should have told you that. Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. Okay. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But that's so cool.
Yeah. What, like, how do people come up with this stuff? Because seriously,
This
that
is
is so
so-
needed.
This is so not how I thought the conversation was gonna go. I am like way more mind blown.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, like I don't do any of the research. Like when we find out things, you do the research. So I just get to come and like be surprised about things, and I'm very surprised.
Yeah. I did not know that that's what this was either. I did
Yeah.
not. Mm-mm.
Well, because like you said, the website's there, but like the all the
It
information
alluded-
for it's not there.
it alluded to it, but it was just like,
Yeah.
I need more. Well,
This is
so
just
yeah,
fascinating. I really
yeah,
am excited. Like there's
it's very cool.
this is the new way of surrogacy. Like this is what people are
Yes.
looking for. This is what people want. Like
Yes.
this is how people want to go on their journeys and make it more connected and less I'm not going to call agencies businessy, but there's a little bit more business aspect to it and it's
Well,
more money driven.
it's going to be
Sorry.
more affordable for people.
Right.
If you can take that big hunk away and
Mhm.
be able to try and navigate some of this on your own and be able to
Oh,
find,
agencies
right?
are going to be so mad.
Well, and okay, and so like she
She's
said,
not the only one who's doing it, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm just saying, like,
but
it's just, it's,
she's the only one who's doing an app, which I think is really cool.
I
But
think that's
but even
phenomenal.
if they find somebody to match, they can take them to their agency and they get a
Right. And I
reduced
think that
fee.
that's wonderful because also at the same
Mhm.
time, like, you want to, sometimes people need the extra, like,
And
guidance.
they do.
Like,
They
even
do.
though I've done this 3 times and I'm
I
in the
know.
community, I could never, I'd be
Yeah,
so afraid that I missed something because
I
I
know.
am just not that kind of person. Like,
Right. You're detail oriented, but in a different way. It's not
yes.
all of the, yeah, I get it. I think if I were to do it again, I probably, back me up 30 years or whatever, I probably would stick with an agency too. Just my preference. Just my
Yeah.
preference. But with an app and an industry like she's creating,
Yeah.
I don't know, that might sway me a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit because nowadays also like see like you could go oh my gosh, I'm just like thinking, right? Because of all the people that we talk to. Like you could
Yes.
go and you could find your match with her. And then after that, you could contact like simply Surrogacy Simplified or like like all these other people that we've talked to and
Hmm.
like because there's like Surrogacy Simplified is the beginning like aspect of it. Oh my gosh. I can picture everybody else's faces, but I can't picture the name of the
The
companies.
name of the
But
companies. That's
yeah,
okay.
but
Yeah.
like there's somebody that's like does the in between, and then there's somebody
Right.
that does the end. Oh, Surrogacy Compass is one of them. Like,
Okay.
and they all do different aspects. So you
Hmm.
could do a walk along with
Could.
different people
Could.
and not have to go to an agency.
And Victoria could incorporate if she were to like,
Right.
get the
Be like,
blessing,
hey,
incorporate with hers, like, hey, your next step would probably be
oh
this.
my
And
God,
her
wait,
next place,
we're not trying to tell what to do. But yeah, like
never.
these are
We're
just
just
our ideas.
business, what did she call it? Her business advisors. We're just
Yes.
trying, just because
No,
I think it
you,
is so
Ellen, you.
phenomenal. Blows my mind. It's so phenomenal what she came up with. Really. So
No, it's
kudos to you, Victoria.
I know. And best of luck on your journey because like
Yes.
this sounds so amazing.
It's gonna
So
happen. It's gonna happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
no excited. Well, okay, thank you so much, Victoria. And if anybody has any
Mhm.
questions or stories that they would like to share with us, please feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Stop.Sit.Surrogate. And this has been another episode of Stop Sit Surrogate with Kennedy and Ellen.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.